What's up, guys? I'm Chris, and today you're watching a magic review on the Spirit Bell by TCC. Alright, guys, subscribe, like, notification bell, join the Facebook group, channel support, and donations at Buy Me a Coffee. Link in the description. On with the review. So, I wasn't going to do this review because first I was late receiving it to not late, as in I purchased it and it came late. I was getting a review copy for the Kickstarter project, but by the time it got to me, the Kickstarter project was just ending. So I didn't review it for a long time because it wasn't available to others. With that said, a lot of people who received theirs, it didn't work or wasn't working as well as it should have. So I didn't want to review something that works great for me when it isn't working so great for some others. However, with that said, I was encouraged to still do the review as people are interested in it, and just make note that there have been issues with some people's. But with that said, the guys at TCC have always been extremely helpful with me in regards to any customer service, and I can imagine that they are making things right with this, so on with the review. So what is the Spirit Bell? Or the Spirit Bell Pro? So the Spirit Bell in general is usually used in mentalism, kind of bizarre or mystery performance type setting, but basically it's kind of what the name insists. It's a bell that is rang by a supposed spirit, like this. So with this one, you have full control over, when it rings, how it rings. Well, not necessarily how it rings, but I just mean, it's the push of a button. If anybody's looked at the Kickstarter, you know that there's a remote, so I don't think I'm exposing anything that isn't out there. Anybody who's interested in purchasing this is going to see that. So that's what the Spirit Bell is. It can be used in a number of routines. I used it in its simplest form, basically the day after I got it. I think I assembled it, and then I was doing a kind of an all ages type show, but for an older crowd, and I just decided to throw something together really quick. Grabbed an old beat up deck of cards and just kind of come up with a story. Basically, the participant would send me information, but I would get stuck on the value of the card because that was the most difficult, since there's 13 values. And anyway, I would get them to think of the value, and then all of a sudden the bell would ring, and it would ring out the value of the card. I said I don't know. There's some kind of connection, I think, between. I found this bell or this piece. Actually, I don't even think I mentioned it. I just kind of left it alone. I just said that I found this stuff in an old box in the attic. Maybe not the best story, but anyway, it went over really well. In the end, the reaction was great, and the biggest question wasn't how did you get the card, it was how the heck did that bell ring, right? So it went over really good. So what do you get? You are going to get the bell. Now this will come in 3 different parts. So the base, the stand, and the bell itself. The stand just kind of needs to be assembled, and you have to put the electronics in. Very easy to do. I had everything put together, assembled, and working within minutes. So you'll get that, and then you'll get the remote and a tutorial. The tutorial, it's just a basic tutorial, right? It basically explains just how to put it together and some ideas. There's a routine, but it's kind of focused more on a prop, right? So there's not really routines based around this. It's kind of a prop to incorporate in existing routines or something that you want to add kind of a bizarre twist on. So tutorial's fine. Difficulty level, if you can sit at home and go to a channel on your TV, you can use this. It's very easy to assemble, easy to use. The quality, so I know that some people were having issues with quality on this simply because it maybe wasn't working as well as it should have. So I can't speak for others. All I can speak is through my experience, and overall quality, it's worked very well for me. It's never failed. It worked from the beginning. I've never changed out the batteries yet. I've used it quite a bit. It's still working 100%. So, And I've used this about, when I did that show, I had the bell on my performing table or table off to the side, and I was with a participant about 30 feet away. So I don't know what the range is on this, but I know it's pretty good because that was quite a distance. So the quality overall for me, the bell is well made, the stand is well made. Some people didn't like the bottom of it because the bottom isn't wood, and obviously if somebody picks this up, they're going to see that there's more to it than a bell and a wooden base and stand. However, with that, I think that this is more of a showpiece. Like, this is going to be used in a stage, parlor, or even a close-up setting, but not where people are going to be grabbing your stuff, right? So I'm not concerned about anybody picking this up and looking at it because I just don't use it in that type of setting myself. So overall, for me, the quality is really good. I was happy with it. The only thing, I guess, like, I've seen some others on there, and maybe I wish the bell looked a bit more realistic and the bottom didn't hang out as low as it does. I understand that that's part of the method, how it works, right? So, overall, I'm not complaining. Some things that I think could be more realistic, but at the same time, right, I know that they wanted to keep costs down because the electronics in this are pretty advanced. So if anybody has the Faraday pad, I'm pretty sure it's the same workings. So it's not just a simple prop, like there's quite a bit to it. It's easy to use. Angles, there's no angle restrictions as long as they're not picking this up and looking at the bottom. Setup and reset, one-time setup just to get everything together. If you want to pack this down, you can simply unscrew this, pack it more flat. So if you're doing that when transporting it, then there's a 30-second setup again when you have to assemble the stand to the base, but that's really nothing. So a one-time setup, I'm going to say, and then there's no reset. All you have to do is turn it on and turn it off. Arts and crafts, is it ready to use? That's already covered. There's no arts and crafts, but it does have to be put together, so it's not ready to use out of the box, but it doesn't take long. You don't have to make anything, just put it together. Pocket space, you're not gonna do that. You put the remote in your pocket. That's where I keep mine, even when I'm performing. So that's about the only thing, and it takes up very little. It's small. I guess since there's a remote, there's really no reason I have to hide it, but it did drop. So this is the remote. You can take off the key tag if you want. It's not very big. I did see some posts online about they were worried about the clicking of the remote. I don't. It's very quiet. So I don't know, maybe some people's are louder, but at the same time, when I'm performing this, it's going to be at a show, right? So chances are I'm in a fairly large environment where they're not going to hear a pin drop, and there's probably a slight ambient noise, air conditioners, furnace, whatever, moving air, fans. So I am not concerned about the click, and when the bell goes off, you don't hear the click anyway. Right? Even at a distance, like, this thing's pretty loud, so I'm not concerned about it. Can it be examined? I'm going to say no, right? Just because if this gets picked up, they see that there's more to it. But again, like I said, this isn't something I could see people examining because chances are they're seated, you're standing in with some distance to you. They're probably not coming up to the table. Even if you are doing a close-up performance, like, this is kind of off to the side, right? So whatever you're using with, I think the heat's going to be more on what you're using than the bell itself. But that's just my thoughts. Is it a worker, and who would use this? So yeah, I mean, I don't see the casual performer like carrying this around and using it, performing it for people. I think this is designed for a worker because you're probably using it in a show setting. Now, not to say that a hobbyist or whatever can't take this to, maybe they want to perform for friends or family. Sure, yeah, take it with you. There's no reason not to. But as far as is this a worker goes, I can see this being used the most in a working set, close-up, parlor, even stage, right? So I'd say this is a worker. Who would use this? Again, I think this is easiest to be incorporated in mentalism, because mentalism can be, approached so many different ways and presented so many different ways, whether, it's mind control or telekinesis or just, listing off some things that would have to do with a bell moving, but or spirits, right? So there's a lot of different things. I think it's easiest to incorporate this in mentalism. And, the mystery performer, bizarre, that's I think what this was kind of directed towards. So the price, and is it worth your money? I don't know what this was on the Kickstarter. I'm guessing probably like $60, but now it retails for $100. So with that, if this is something that you're going to use, you have a use for it in a working set, then I think it's worth the money. Now, if you're just somebody who performs for fun or for friends or family, and you're not going to be putting this into something where you're getting your money back, then maybe it's not for you, right? But for me, I've used this in a number of my working sets. It's got great reactions. People talked about it after. So for me, that $100 price tag was good. It's easy to use. It's never failed me, and very discreet, in my experience. Or maybe you're a collector, so you want to pick this up. But for me, it's worth the money, even though I was sent a review copy, but I just mean based on other reviews and products that I bought, I think that this is in the right price range. If yours doesn't work as well as it should, then I can't imagine that TCC wouldn't take care of you, send you a new one, refund or whatever, right? But I'm sure if yours doesn't work, they're not just going to say, oh, too bad. So if you pay your $100 and for whatever reason it doesn't work as it should, then I'm sure they're going to take care of you. It might be out of stock. So I think that's about everything that I can say about the Spirit Bell. I'll leave a link in the description below, so if you want to check that out, or leave a comment if you have any questions. And with that, we'll see you at the next review.